To the Ateneo Korean Studies program, Ateneo de Manila University is proud to host the third conference on Korean Studies in Maritime Southeast Asia, which is becoming a valuable channel for exchanging ideas, experiences, and perspectives between Korea and the Southeast Asia region. The conference resonates well with the deepening relationship between Korea and the region. The growth of Korean communities in Southeast Asian countries strongly manifests our friendship and alliance. This gathering bodes well with our continued efforts to expand bilateral cooperation and engagement in other areas. As an educational institution, we are committed to leveraging our knowledge, expertise, and values to be a force for good in the world and a collaborative and engaged leader in social transformation through education, formation, research, and social engagement. It is my hope that this conference will explore more ways to drive Korean and Southeast Asia's cultural, educational, and social exchanges to greater heights. I wish you all great success at this conference and in the work ahead.
We are living in a time when the relationship between Korea and Southeast Asian countries holds great importance. The new government of Korea is actively working towards strengthening solidarity with the ASEAN countries, which is called KASI, Korean ASEAN Solidarity Initiative. And I believe this conference will play a significant role in supporting this effort. During the conference, we will be discussing the latest research on the Korean studies and Korean culture in this region. I believe that this conference will enhance understanding of the relationship between Korea and Southeast Asia and contribute to fostering further cooperation between two regions.
ASEAN and Korea have enacted collaborative efforts across all three ASEAN pillars and various sectors to help the region and our peoples achieve security and prosperity, as well as to build back better in the aftermath of the pandemic. On the other hand, the COVID-19 pandemic not only brought health, economic, and social issues to the fore, forcing governments and other stakeholders to adapt. It also deeply affected our youth and their educational development, including opportunities for scholarship programs, capacity-building trainings, cultural exchanges, and other people-to-people linkages offered to Filipino students under the ambit of ASEAN and ASEAN external partnerships. As one way to address these concerns, ASEAN and Korea have implemented projects including close collaboration in the field of technical and vocational education and training, or TVET. Cooperation on the cultural sector between ASEAN and Korea has also continued unabated during the pandemic. We look forward to working together for more years in achieving our shared goals of greater peace, freedom, security, and prosperity for the region and for our peoples.
The different relations between ASEAN and Korea are creating great sinergies, including with the Korea government's Korea-ASEAN Solidarity Initiative and ASEAN Outlook on Indo-Pacific. To support this mutually beneficial relationship of ASEAN and Korea, the ASEAN Korea Center is implementing various programs in close cooperation with governments, foreign missions, youth, media, and in particular, universities and research institutions. I looked through the topics of today's presentation and was happy to find out our common interest for the ASEAN-Korea relationship. The center has resumed many of our various academic and people-to-people exchange programs as the COVID-19 restrictions phases out after 3 years. I believe today's event will be a bridge to connect the Maritime Southeast Asian countries in Korea by sharing valuable lessons and academic exchanges on Korea-related topics. I hope that this conference opens a fruitful and continuing conversation between many scholars who are gathering here today.
The KSP is at the forefront of expanding Korean studies in Maritime Southeast Asia, a region with rising economic potential where Korean communities, industries, and investments continue to grow, but whose contribution to the globalization of Korean studies lacks significant recognition. KSP hopes to bridge this critical gap. In 2021, we successfully organized the first conference on emerging convergence across the seas, through which a network of scholars engaged in Korean studies research in Brunei, Indonesia, Malaysia, the Philippines, Singapore, and Timor-Leste was built, and where a regional perspective on Korea-related issues was amplified. This initiative was followed by the second conference on Korean studies research and pedagogy, which resulted in the publication of a special issue in the Review of Korean Studies. The special issue is the first to showcase Korean studies as a growing academic and research field in the diverse higher education contexts in the Maritime Southeast Asian region. Following the success of these two conferences, the third conference on Korean studies in Maritime Southeast Asia brings together studies that revisit Korea's presence in the region's diverse urbanscapes. In particular, the conference aims to shed light on emerging disconnections and new patterns of intercultural exchanges between Korea and Southeast Asia, shaped within and by post-COVID cities and localities in Indonesia, the Philippines, and Malaysia. Through these conferences, KSP hopes to promote Korean studies scholarship from diverse Southeast Asian perspectives and encourage critical dialogue on relevant issues important to both Korea and the region.
This year's conference gathers 3 special speakers who will talk about Korea's presence and cultural influence in Southeast Asia, particularly Indonesia, Philippines, and Malaysia, in a post-COVID urban setting.
We will focus on introducing how you eventually became such a big thing in Indonesia and somehow is able to stimulate more partnerships and also like increase cultural consumptions and also investment in the Hallyu related sectors. Created this diagram to somehow help us understand the timeline to focus on before and after 2000. So the reason is because the year of 2000 marked the first penetration of Korean drama into Indonesian TV. During this first, penetration, like Korean dramas actually had some tough competitors. So like the consumption of Korean culture products also increased a lot because fans wanted to purchase products that were advertised by, let's say, their favorite idols or like favorite dramas. And at the same time, the government also established an economic cooperation scheme called, we called like IKA CEPA in 2012 to accelerate economic growth in both countries. For example, like the South Korean New Southern Policy actually accelerated many new opportunities for Korean and Indonesian business owners, including those, like working in the Hallyu related sectors. Like there was also like a boom in outbound tourism to South Korea. So they had this interest in experiencing K culture and visiting the country in person. Interestingly, that many businesses, mostly the informal business, they rode the popularity of Hallyu, in particular, Korean dramas, by using the drama characters to promote their products and services. First is related to the ability of Hallyu to replace South Korea's negative image with a more positive one. And moreover, like the growing popularity of Hallyu in Indonesia has somehow fostered Korean investors to diversify their businesses in Indonesia to meet the demand for Hallyu fans.
So, how can Korean wave phenomena and soft power interrelated? How can explain two concepts?
Like the celebrities advertise, so naturally, like the fans would love to purchase that product, even though they don't need it. They went to the supermarket and they wanted to purchase that products. So like this is one of the soft power that I guess South Korea is trying to utilize, how actually they can attract, people to purchase like more Korean products and also fly to South Korea. So try to increase the brand from their country.
Well, first of all, in a globalizing world, there has been a gradual shift of socioeconomic power. There's a lot of commentary on media and influence towards Asia, especially East Asia and Southeast Asia. There's a need to understand these changes. In that respect, one stream of the changes taking place is that South Koreans appear to be making lifestyle and career choices in choosing to migrate temporarily to, or occasionally to even settle permanently, not just in metropolitan Manila, but in various cities in the Philippines. I would tend to say that there's a stable South Korean presence, especially in terms of shops in previously visited neighborhoods. Although I would not say that the growth is very rapid anymore, there is still growth, slow growth, in most of the neighborhoods I visited. Now, this is an interesting phenomenon. There are Filipino spatial and cultural responses, and that wasn't apparent 10 years ago. What's to be happening now is there's a Philippine imitation of Korean consumer products, especially food, and symbolism that translates into physical retail presence. I think from an urban planning perspective, Korean neighborhoods in the Philippines will remain stable, if small, and the thriving strip of small retailers is likely to remain in neighborhoods where there's a baseline of Korean patrons already, and this baseline usually consists of students and new migrants. Filipino entrepreneurs will continue to ride on the K-wave attractions. The Urbanscape will also Koreanize selectively over time. There is definitely a very strong Filipino response, and I think there's healthy diversity remains vital for Philippine cities. A positive and peaceful coexistence between the two groups is likely to contribute to robust and faster improvement of the neighborhoods, because this is a sort of gentrification that is very positive for both groups, as long as mechanisms can be set in place for cross-cultural understanding.
If I compare Filipino people living in Korea in comparison with other foreigners living in Korea, always I found they have some weak Korean proficiency. So I think Korean people need to develop some Korean language school in Philippines to level up the Korean proficiency. In that case, our cooperation can be easier than before.
Yes, there's a need to have more learning. I agree with that. Perhaps to capture those Filipinos who are going to Korea, that they have to improve their Korean learning skills, and at the same time, well, I think there's really more positivity now because the Koreans have, as I said, quite a stable presence.
Malaysian news, K-pop music artists called idol are perceived as an object of interest and mutual growth in Malaysia. The biggest two factors that overseas fans view K-pop and idol group as an object of interest as follows. Number one, differentiated and outstanding performance. Second, strongly organized fandom cultures. What these Malaysian fans have in common is that K-pop idol groups have their own distinct identities, and these representative images are not fixed forever. In other words, the differentiation and creative flexibility of performances are key factors that captivate many Malaysian fans. In similar way, the phenomenon of being proud of the idol group achievement is the sympathetic identification. This sympathetic identification takes place not only between idol and fan, but also among fans. Use of the sympathetic identification that lead the fan to create the brand story and value of each idol group in their mind. Malaysian entertainment company also move quickly to create Malaysian pop called M-pop. However, there are two problems facing idol group born from branding of the Malaysian popular music industry. Firstly, many M-pop idol groups tended to be only active for 1-2 years. Second, Even if they survive, the identity of music, dance, and image is the center of the controversy about whether they are M-pop or they copy of the K-pop. Tended to be reject the influence of K-pop. Mustafa, the main producer of Max 247, said, quote, "We will maintain our Malaysian identity by infusing our music traditional musical value. It proved that they are not copying K-pop." Quote. However, the evaluation of the Malaysian netizen was still different from their comment. According to the blogger, the fact a newly emerging Malaysian group had to create originality in their own framework means that Malaysian netizens in the early 2010 did not yet regard Malaysian pop as a creative brand. Such a doubt continued into the 2020s. If Malaysian pop group want to be exist as a brand that is distinct from K-pop, building original story that arise sympathy from Malaysian local fan will be the key to brandings.
To be succeed in this context because of the Malaysian pop or M-pop from what been presented by Dr. Ha. So after 1 year or 2 years, of the formation of the group, and then the group disappeared. So maybe Dr. Ha, can give a kind of suggestion how M-pop could be accepted, by the Malaysian, for example, or the people in the region or Southeast Asia, by looking at the cultural ecology context.
K-pop is not only appeared by Korean culture. This is all mixture from others. While we mixture with the others, we found a way how to represent our own story. But what they're missing is intangible model. Actually, intangible model means like a branding story. Branding story by performer, by fandom. That's why while they doing the branding story, they must definitely thinking about what is a Malaysian own culture.
My pleasure and honor to introduce my organization, my institute, Chonbuk National University Institute for Southeast Asian Studies. A multidisciplinary research by taking advantage of big universities. Chonbuk National University is one of the biggest universities in Korea. We try to promote both academic research on the South Asian field, Southeast Asian studies, and also public understanding about Southeast Asia. We are expecting to have a policy paper soon on migrant workers from Southeast Asia to Korea. These are some of the publications we have, like Southeast Asia struggling against COVID-19. Publication we have, it's an academic book, universal healthcare coverage in Southeast Asia. We are glad to support our colleagues from Southeast Asia who want to do the fieldwork in Korea by providing visiting research fellow status.
Our institute was firstly established in 1996. Our major research project was about the Mekong region. The other one, a research project from 2009 to 2019. The full name of the research agenda was the recognition and construction of Southeast Asia as a whole, building Southeast Asian studies on compounding area studies and cultural studies. We successfully conclude this research project. And also our institution have some education programs. Joined with other two institutes, we are running the MA and PhD program in area studies. This is the journal we are publishing. Biannual, we are publishing this journal, Suannabhumi. Now it's volume 15. So basically, we are studying about the Korea-ASEAN relations. Okay? If you are interested in studying about ASEAN and Korea-ASEAN relations, probably my institute is a good partner to join research or doing discussions.
Southeast Asian Center's main purpose is constructing a base for producing and providing academic knowledge and information on Southeast Asia. And this year, we are now focusing on research on sustainable agriculture in Southeast Asia, economy, food security, and climate change. And every year, my center researchers who apply to SNUAC's Visiting Scholar program receive a sponsorship reference and an extension reference. And we also now operating a research trainee program. We first apply and we meet and we review the direction of the research. Myself, and the other experts give comments to the small research group. And
these exceptional scholars have been chosen for their dedication to advancing Korean studies in the Philippines. They plan to undertake rigorous research, delving deep into their chosen topics and shedding new light on various aspects of Korean culture, history, and society. Congratulations once again to all of you. 다시 한번 축하드립니다, 여러분. 수고하셨습니다.
The Korean Studies program, our partner, the Academy of Korean Studies, and I are pleased to be given this opportunity to do one of the many things that universities should be doing, to generate and share knowledge. Why? Because it matters that we understand the Philippines and its connectedness to the rest of the world. Thus, it is not enough to critique. A social scientist must offer solutions. And to offer a solution is to solve a problem. But this must be based on a better understanding of the complex challenges of our times. I am very pleased that through this conference, the Korean Studies program has linked its efforts of promoting Korean studies in the Maritime Asia with Andong University, Busan University of Foreign Studies, Jeonbuk National University for Southeast Asian Studies, Seoul National University, University of the Philippines in Diliman, University Malaya, and Waseda University. I also wish the recipients of the research and publication grants of the Korean Studies program and the Academy of Korean Studies all the best as to contribute to the School of Social Sciences' objective of enhancing its geographical expertise of faculty, members, and researchers. Once again, thank you for joining us this afternoon.